Hi, everybody. It is April 3rd, 2021. I just want to alert you to the 3 videos that I posted yesterday on Odysee, my channel on Odysee, Never Lose Truth. And the 3 videos are right here. And unfortunately, I don't even feel comfortable speaking their titles. Free speech in the good old US of A is dying. That is very, very unfortunate, sad, tragic, but it's happening. So, very important information. I hope you come over here, watch them, and circulate them. This video, the focus of this video is India. What governments can do to their people. And I just want to bring you back 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago to Modi's demonetization policy that hurt an awful lot of Indians. It came about abruptly, just like the lockdowns came about so abruptly. And I came across this article yesterday, India's experiments with COVID-19. And I am going to go through this with you, but it's truly an evil is taking place. An evil is taking place all over the world. It's been going on for a long time, but now it is so in our face that it's you got to do some manipulations, cognitive manipulations to deny it. So let's just be reminded of the demonetization. This documentary, this is the trailer, Show Me Demoney, Show Me Demoney, India's untold demonetization story. And I've looked for the actual documentary, and I can't find it. So if anybody wants to try to find it, the full documentary, I would appreciate you leaving the link below. So here it is.
A long time ago, my father explained to me that money was nothing more than a promise that the government makes to its people. A promise that says that the paper bills you hold have intrinsic value. But what if the government reneged on that promise? Well, that's what happened in my country 3 years ago.
The 500 rupee and 1000 rupee currency notes presently in use will no longer be legal tender from midnight to night.
November 8th has entered the annals of Indian history as the day when Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced 500 and 1000 rupees notes
ceased to be legal currency.
The Prime Minister said that this was an attack against black money. It was an attack against corruption. It was an attack against terrorism, and it was an attack against counterfeit currency.
These are the first few people being let into the bank now that it's open. And this after they've been standing in queue for 5 hours. And that's a real problem for these people because they desperately need their cash.
I was in the US after Prime Minister Modi demonetized the currency, and I was compelled to go back to India and get the authentic voices from the people on the ground. How are they feeling about what had just happened?
ऐसा ही काम है साहब, सारे मजदूर आधे फैक्ट्रियां बंद हो गई, देखो मजदूर परेशानी है, मजदूर के पास कहाँ पैसे हैं?
नोटबंदी की वजह से लोग इसलिए खरीद नहीं रहे हैं।
There was a sense of fear. There were people being misdirected and misinformed. I mean, here was the Prime Minister of India saying the currency by which human beings exchange was valued at zero.
और ज़्यादा हालत दिनों दिन कम होती जा रही है। टूरिस्ट रुक नहीं पा रहे।
It was an unmitigated disaster, particularly for the poor people, which is pretty much 80 to 95% of India's population.
People were all in a state of major shock. It was almost like someone had suddenly attacked the city.
You could see the ATMs filling up. You could see panic on the streets. You could see a lot of anxiety among people as to what's going to happen.
ATM की नहीं हमारे गांव से दूर हम इंटीरियर रहते हैं।
अभी भी लाइन में लग रहे हैं, हम ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में अभी भी नहीं पैसे दे रहे बैंक में।
हम मजदूरों को पैसे देने को तैयार घर में नहीं है। उनकी धान कटाई का पैसा देना है वो।
अगर जैसे जिसके पास 8 बच्चे हैं तो किस तरह खवाए अपना दूध भरा ली, किस तरह खाएंगे बताइए।
People were suffering. It was hard for them to get enough cash to go about their daily routines. It was so obvious that this was wrong, and suddenly I had people that I respected saying it's good.
Why do you not like him so much, Modi? Why are you so passionately against him?
Anti-poor.
The poor people are happy because the rich people suffered.
India has become so corrupt, they needed to do something to fix it. The demonetization made them corrupt.
I was worried the entire country would just erupt, but that didn't happen.
मोदी जी ने क्या है वो अच्छे कर रहे हैं, बहुत ही अच्छे कर रहे हैं वो।
बहुत अच्छा काम किया मोदी जी ने, बहुत अच्छा नोटबंदी का बहुत बढ़िया है काम, बहुत साहसिक कदम है।
जो मोदी जी ने किया वो सत किया, उसको लिए प्रणाम करता हूँ मैं।
The narrative that was presented to the Indian population was that demonetization would end corruption. And it was that corruption that the poor communities believed kept them in poverty. And so this...
That's my cat. I apologize. Coming within seconds is a picture of a naked girl, and I don't want to show that. A young girl, but there's no telling what our fabulous YouTube will do. So, let me just skip a little bit.
Perceived as the father who could do no wrong for his children.
अमेरिकन कौन उसका हम झूठ नहीं बोलेंगे, सत्य हम।
I feel that this government works in such a way sometimes that if you speak out against it, then they might take some action against you.
सब हम तो मोदी जी से बहुत खुश हैं और अच्छा काम भी चल रहा है। बीजेपी जिंदाबाद, मोदी जी जिंदाबाद।
The more questions I asked, the more convinced I was that many people were speaking from fear.
अब जो मेरे को बताएगा वो बोल दूंगा सर।
You know, you believe something your whole life, and suddenly everything changes. You know the world is round, but suddenly everybody looks at you and says, hey, it's not round, it's flat.
Okay, people died. People lost their only means of making some money. Tourists were really those tourists that carried small bills, afraid of being robbed or something. Well, they were left stuck. So, if that was to weed out black money, weed out corruption, Modi shows up on TV, interrupts the night's program, the whatever was on TV in India, interrupts and says that these are the bills that will be worthless in 3 hours. That is purposeful. That is deliberate. To throw an awful lot of people into panic, to cause chaos, and to literally kill people. There was no reason to do it. That quickly, for sure. Okay, so here, let's just listen to a few minutes of this. Yeah, the UK, Boris Johnson, going to India, build back better. The Great Reset.
You know, we sit down for this interview as British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is set to visit India at the end of April, his first major international trip after Britain's exit from the European Union. So why India? There is so much excitement around this trip from both sides. And what kind of partnership are we expected to see?
So you're right. There's huge excitement around this trip. And this is, I think, two things coming together. It's the shared commitment that the UK and India have to build back better as we recover from COVID, as we tackle climate change. But also, we both recognise that the Indo-Pacific is the new centre of gravity in the world. And I think strengthening the UK-India partnership at this time will be really important and exciting. We've already had a couple of cabinet ministers visit India to build up the momentum, including Alok Sharma, the president-designate of the COP. And we're looking to develop, on a bilateral sense, a strategy through to 2030 to work with India on areas where we have shared commitment and shared concerns. And I think that's mirrored here in the Security Council. We've got India now on the Security Council as an elected member for 2 years. Of course, the UK was the first P5 member to come out in favour of India becoming a permanent member of the Security Council. And we can work here with India on tackling COVID, building back better, looking forward to India coming forward strongly on climate change, I think will be really important, and working together on some of the very tough conflicts that we see around the world.
And I bet this woman thinks that she's doing good. Her life, her career, she's doing good for the world. Well, she's not. The world is about power and money. That's it. You know, came across this article yesterday, and it's hard, but I believe that attention needs to be brought to what is happening in India with this Modi, you know, the puppet for the Western evil elite. And as I was going through this, I thought about the demonetization policy that Modi inflicted upon the Indian people. The abruptness of it, the experiment of it. And I do have to wonder, is India a place where they're literally telling Modi, okay, do these things abruptly, and it's an experiment, let's see how the people react? Well, it's easy to know, you know, how people behave when they're suddenly hit with, all the money I have is worthless now. They panic, and they do whatever it is that they can to survive. Many people kill themselves. Okay, so, yes, it was here. Jayant Bhandardi, reminiscent of his demonetization effort in 2016, on the 24th of March, 2020, Indian Prime Minister Modi appeared on TV and declared an immediate nationwide curfew. No one was to be allowed to leave wherever he or she appeared to be. All flights, trains. After 167 years of continual operation, road transportation, it all came to a halt. tens of millions of people, myself included, got stuck wherever they were. People were not allowed to leave their homes, not even for grocery shopping, the latter of which was amended after a few days when the government realized, the people need to eat. In a country of 38 billion people, the initial policy was a shot from the hip without any consultation or planning, as if prepared by primary school kids. He's got a lot of tweets that he titles The Hunger Games. Day 27, India. The irony is that it is the poor who have done slightly better, most vicious towards the poor. It is women who are most misogynistic. Having been given a blank check, those somewhat better off are putting to action all the sadism they have. So the lockdown put an awful lot of people out of work in India, and there were shortages of food coming in, and there were an awful lot of scenes just like this. Particularly the poor who ventured out to get food were ruthlessly beaten by police.
जितने भी किराने वाले सामान वाले हैं सबकी लिस्ट लो आप पहले चलो बाहर निकलो आप क्यों निकाला हाथ ऊपर करो हाथ आगे करो अरे बाप रे क्यों निकाला
Desperate lines growing, shortages, price gouging. In the dystopia of India, beating up shopkeepers is believed to relieve shortages. In a police state, the police become the judge. In a country where 300 million people go to bed hungry on a typical day, many more were immediately sent to starvation. Groceries were asked to reduce their hours. Vegetables were to be supplied only by Indian government, which came for a day or two and then disappeared. They had killed the supply chain by stopping road traffic. Hundreds of millions starving.
वो देख गिर ही गए
अरे बहुत दिन के चप्पल ले उतरे जाने के पड़े हैं
बाबा वो देखो मार ले अरे मारू ना लोग पाउन के लोचन चप्पल विपल सर फेंक ली
This is the condition that Modi implemented here or there in India. This was because of one guy announcing, "You are all to stay in your homes. Don't leave your homes." Not even a curfew, just a 24/7 curfew. And then, well, oh, right, they have to eat, so we'll lift that restriction. And suddenly people are panicked, in crisis. This is what governments do to the people. I think we need to get off government. The statists, those who bow down to government, those who believe in government, they worship it. You really need to reevaluate your view of government. If your teenage daughter had gone to another city for a night, she was to be stuck for at least 2 months without any recourse. If she had no money or safe place to stay, that was not Modi's problem. He didn't care. I was stuck for 4 months before I could finally get on a flight to North America. Ambulances weren't coming to villages. Government hospitals, the people believed they were death traps.
बुखार खांसी अब अपनी था हम दिखाए कुर्थ हॉस्पिटल में वो रेफर कर दिए रेफर करे हाँ 2 घंटा हो गया डॉक्टर साहब बोले कि ऑक्सीजन लगा के जाओ एम्बुलेंस में हम गए बोले कि भैया थोड़ा सा जल्दी कीजिए मेरा सीरियस पोजीशन में है बच्चा वो बोले कि नहीं है गाड़ी लगल है 2-3 गो एम्बुलेंस ले जाने के लिए कोई तैयार नहीं हुआ।
तो कैसे आप जाइएगा?
टेम्पू से आए थे।
अब जाइएगा कैसे? पैदल जा रहे हैं?
हाँ
पैदल जा रहे हैं।
हाँ पैदल जा रहे हैं।
तो क्या एम्बुलेंस आपको नहीं मिला?
नहीं
एम्बुलेंस नहीं मिला।
एम्बुलेंस नहीं मिला।
बच्चा का तबीयत कैसे खराब हुआ था?
बच्चा की तबीयत शुरू से खराब था जब से जन्म लिया था जब से।
मतलब इधर आज क्या हुआ था इसका?
आज
क्या साल का बच्चा है?
3 साल के बच्चा था।
3 साल का?
हाँ।
तबीयत इसको खराब था
बहुत।
क्या
Even though I don't understand the specifics of what he is saying, I understand enough to know that this should never be. The woman was carrying her dead son. There was no private transport. That was cut off. Many private doctors were shut. Yeah, this is how they're building back better. And this is how they're protecting those they're supposed to be representing. Yeah. Lockdowns, because we have to save you from COVID. While we kill your children, we destroy your livelihoods. And we literally, overnight, we implement a policy where there's going to be food shortages, you won't have any transportation, ambulances will not be running. Yeah, that's how we protect you from COVID. Hungry, thirsty, sauna-like summer, hundreds of thousands of homeless people walked hundreds of kilometers, in many cases more than 1,000 kilometers, to get to their rural homes. Hundreds of those died. Migrant workers in Mumbai, tired of false promises, desperately trying to get home. The lockdown then was extended 18 days. And police officers just kept beating them. Oh my God. No country enforced a lockdown as draconian as that imposed in India. That's probably correct. Hunger Games, day 26. Indian police think of itself as the occupying enemy. Now considers its job to rape and pillage. What kind of animal does this? Well, I shouldn't even say an animal. I don't... Who could do this? Only the sick and twisted. And unfortunately, no, it's not just our government leaders, the quote-unquote elite. It's our ordinary fellow citizens that are also sick, twisted, corrupt, immoral, violent. And unfortunately, there's an awful lot who will turn on you. What's happening here is kind of a version of what's coming here, or what's happening there. Hunger Games, day 27. This is a food distribution center in Delhi. After the crowd rushed in, they find apathetic government officials who don't move a finger, who get a guaranteed salary.
ये देखो भाई कितने बंदे गिर चुके हैं ये देखो कीड़े कैसे गिर रहे हैं ये बच्चे ये देखो कोरोना वायरस फैलाएंगे यहाँ पे ये देखो रो रही है बेचारी बच्ची ये रो रही है देखो ये देखो ये कोरोना वायरस फैलाएंगे
Day 41. The games have been so much fun that its duration has been increased by another 2 weeks. The lockdowns. Tropical summer reaching 45 Celsius. Migrant workers who have been stuck hungry and brutalized. For 40 days, moving again. Day 50. Indians don't know reason. The rulers cannot explain, and the subjects cannot understand. So all of the communication, all of the explanations, brutality. Indians consider it unmanly to do a proper job of anything, so nothing works properly. India lacks quality. Electrical cables hang around everywhere. Work is done flimsily. No wonder you typically lose electricity at least once a day, even in posh areas. A complete curfew over the last 68 days had to send India's infrastructure crumbling down. So day 50, Indians don't know. Oh, this is the same tweet. I'm sorry. Soon after, a slight relaxation. One chemical plant in the southern city of Vishakhapatnam, well, most of you know me with names, but it had a significant gas leak. Over 1,000 people collapsed, scores died. The same day, a coal-fired boiler burst, something unusual given the high safety standards associated with boilers. After the 68 days of nationwide curfew, restrictions were relaxed a little in parts of the country. People after that needed internal visas to move around within the allowed areas. Show me your papers. Albeit trains and flights were still not functioning. If you got stuck 1,000 kilometers from where you were supposed to be, you still had to walk to your destination or take a costly taxi, if you could get one. And taxi drivers knew that they could get beaten up or even killed by the police before even asked a question. The police beat up this man's son so badly he died. He had gone out to get food.
बताओ वही बिस्कुट आने मेरा वही पुलिस वाले मिलके तो ना मारे ना कुछ मर गया पुलिस वाले यही काम बताइए वही एक सारा पे लड़का बताइए हमारा भैया गवारा साहब चातलीमा चौराहा पर से कुछ ले रहा था, भूख लगी थी, बहुत करीबी हालत हम लोग की, उसके बाद लौट कर या पूरा काला दिया, उसके बाद अस्पताल ले गए। अस्पताल में डॉक्टर पौर ने एम्बुलेंस अकबरपुर भेज दिया। रात भर खून चढ़ रहा था, खून बदन में नहीं था, रात के 2 बजे दम निकल गया मेरे बच्चा का मेरे लाल का मेरे भैया का अरे मेरे भैया.
This is the new India. This is our new world, our new normal. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are experiencing the decrease in compassion and decency and selflessness. It's only going to get worse. My squabble is not with Modi. He is a naive, simplistic bully, characteristic of what tribal, amoral, irrational Indians would vote into power. In an irrational society, it is impossible to know who is responsible and to untangle causes from effects. The rulers, elected by irrational masses, cannot make decisions, or then explain those to the citizens who cannot understand or follow anyway. It's just chaos. In a recent case, the Supreme Court asked a rapist of a minor girl if he would marry her. In such a society, brutality and savagery are the only media for communication. Those beaten up look for another weak person, not their oppressor, to avenge, to perpetrate the savagery. They'll still vote for Modi. This is the karmic cycle of India. Modi is merely a participant.
अरे एक एक लो ना यार अंदर जाके.
This is how government officials keep you safe. The economy is organic. You must keep it in motion. If you stop it, there will be unknown, unseen, and unthought of problems, particularly in India, where the leadership does not engage in complex thinking and cannot plan for the future. India, contrary to what the World Bank and the IMF assert, was already economically stagnant before the coronavirus hit. All countries were. All countries were. The international media, mesmerized by India's democracy and enthralled to political correctness, claimed that India brought COVID-19 under control through faithfully following mask wearing. In reality, hardly anyone wears a mask. The rare person that wears one takes it off when talking to people. Blistering heat, lack of food and water, migrant workers suffer. 2 kids trying to wake up their dead mother. Fast forward to today, a year later, widespread starvation and poverty have meant that the government can no longer keep people from going out. Mass desperation has set in. People are desperate for jobs. India has relegated at least 75 million new people to poverty. The Indian economy contracted by 10.3% in 2020, making it one of the worst performing in the world. In its supreme wisdom, the government runs a minimal number of trains and buses and restricts opening hours for shops. They fail to understand that this creates horrible congestion, massive chaos, overcrowding.
ये जो एक बना हुआ है ना बड़े माऊ बड़े बड़े लोग धनी लोग, ये दुनिया उन्हीं के लिए है।
Sorry, I didn't have my mic on. Yeah, worsened social distancing, created the worst humanitarian crisis since Stalin and Mao's time, destroyed the social fabric, unlikely to recover like most countries. This is a version of what's coming. It's a version of what's coming. So, I do believe it's important to know what's happening. I'll link to everything below.